The night shift at Monitoring Station 7 Alpha was, as usual, quiet. Too quiet for Yelma Kara's liking. The veteran sensor technician stifled a yawn as she adjusted the collar of her uniform. After 15 years of service to the Zephyrian Empire, she had mastered the art of appearing alert, even when her mind wandered. Tonight, however, something kept drawing her attention back to the holographic display. "Routine patrol cycle complete. All registered vessels accounted for," chirped the automated system. Yelma nodded absently, watching the familiar green dots crawl across her screen. Each represented a cataloged ship moving through Sector 7 Alpha, their identities verified and trajectories logged. The Empire's meticulous registration system had functioned flawlessly for over a century, tracking every vessel that traversed its space. That's when she saw it, a green dot that shouldn't be there, moving too fast. "Computer, identify vessel at coordinates 37890412, Yelma said, sitting up straighter. "No registration data available," replied the system. She frowned. "Run diagnostic on sensor array." Diagnostic complete. All systems functioning at optimal parameters. Yelma's fingers danced across the control panel, initiating a secondary verification protocol. "Computer, access Empire Registry database and identify vessel at specified coordinates." Searching. No match found in registry. Her heart rate quickened. This wasn't a glitch. In her 15 years of service, she had never encountered an unregistered vessel. Every ship that entered Imperial space was required to transmit identification codes, and the Empire prided itself on maintaining a complete catalog of every vessel design in the known galaxy. Analyze vessel configuration and match to known hull types. Analysis complete. Hull configuration does not match any known design in database. Yelma's training kicked in. She activated the high-resolution scanners and directed them toward the anomaly. The readings that came back made her blood run cold. Velocity calculation. 140% of theoretical maximum for current propulsion technology. That was impossible. Nothing could move that fast, not according to any physics she knew. Yelma hesitated only for a moment before pressing the alert button. "Command, this is Sensor Station 7 Alpha. I have an unidentified vessel moving at impossible speeds. Request immediate verification and instructions." Within minutes, the quiet monitoring station transformed into a hub of frantic activity. Senior officers crowded around her station, their faces a mixture of disbelief and concern. Security protocols that hadn't been activated in decades hummed to life around them. "Show me," demanded a stern voice from behind her. Yelma turned to face Admiral Zol Varzox, the fleet commander for this quadrant. His weathered face betrayed no emotion, but the tightness around his eyes told her he understood the implications. "Here, sir." She pointed to the green dot now nearing the edge of their sensor range, moving at 140% of what should be physically possible. No registration, no match to any known design. Admiral Varzox leaned forward, his eyes narrowed. "How long has it been in our space?" 17 minutes, sir. It appeared at the outer boundary and has been moving in a straight trajectory since. Direction? Toward the Lithian system. The Admiral straightened. His decision made? Issue an Empire-wide alert. I want 4 monitoring stations tracking that vessel. Deploy the 7th Fleet to intercept. And Technician Kara. Yes, sir. Good work. You may have just saved us from something unprecedented. As Yelma watched the command center spring into action, she couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning of something much larger than a simple security breach. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Terra's Pride, Earth's most advanced exploration vessel, and allowed himself a small smile of satisfaction. The ship hummed around him, its quantum-fold engines performing exactly as designed, which meant they were currently traveling at speeds the rest of the galaxy considered impossible. "Captain," called Lisa Park from the navigation station, "we're approaching the Lithian system. Estimated arrival in 47 minutes. Excellent, Morrison replied. Any sign that we've been detected? Communications Officer Amy Rodriguez shook her head. Nothing on any frequency we can monitor. If they've seen us, they're not talking about it. Morrison nodded, pleased. This mission, humanity's first venture beyond their solar system, using the revolutionary quantum fold drive, was proceeding exactly according to plan. After decades of observing distant stars and picking up fragmented transmissions from alien civilizations, Earth was finally ready to introduce itself to the galactic community. Let's go through the first contact protocols one more time, Morrison said, turning to face his crew. Dr. Kate Williams, our approach? The ship's chief scientist looked up from her station. Peaceful and transparent. We broadcast our identity and intentions on all standard frequencies once we enter the system. We maintain a respectful distance from inhabited worlds until communication is established. And if we encounter resistance, we retreat, Williams answered firmly. This is a scientific and diplomatic mission. We're here to make friends, not enemies. Morrison nodded. Rodriguez, communications package ready? Yes, Captain. Universal greeting in 317 languages and mathematical sequences. Plus, visual demonstrations of peaceful intent. Ready to broadcast on your command. Excellent. Park position? Still on course, Captain. All systems nominal. Quantum fold drive performing at 102% of expected efficiency. Morrison allowed his smile to widen slightly. Humanity had cracked the secret of faster-than-light travel. Something that, according to their observations of alien communications, even the most advanced civilizations in this sector hadn't achieved. The quantum fold drive didn't just bend space. It created a pocket dimension where the laws of physics could be temporarily rewritten, allowing the Terra's pride to move at speeds that should be impossible. This is a historic moment, Morrison said, looking around at his crew. The first human vessel to enter an alien star system. Let's make Earth proud. What Morrison couldn't know was that their revolutionary drive technology had already been noticed and had triggered the largest military mobilization the Zephyrian Empire had seen in 3 centuries. Admiral Zol Varzox stood rigid on the command deck of the Imperial flagship Dominance, watching as the tactical display updated with real-time information. 4 fleets were converging on the projected path of the unknown vessel, creating an inescapable net of Imperial might. Sir, his executive officer reported, the 7th, 12th, and 19th fleets are in position. The 3rd fleet will close the formation in 7 minutes. And the vessel? Still maintaining course and speed. Sir, it will enter the containment zone in approximately 22 minutes. Varzox nodded, his face impassive. Decades of military service had taught him to hide his emotions. But inside, he was deeply troubled. The Empire's technological supremacy had gone unchallenged for centuries. Their database contained information on every known species, every type of vessel, every form of propulsion. Yet this thing defied all categorization. Open a secure channel to the Emperor's Advisory Council, he ordered. The holographic display shifted, revealing the stern faces of 12 council members, representing the various sectors of the Empire. Counselors, Varzox began. The unknown vessel continues on its trajectory toward the Lithian system. We have positioned 4 fleets to intercept and contain. Request guidance on rules of engagement. High Counselor Trazyn leaned forward, his elongated features tightening with concern. What do we know about this vessel, Admiral? Very little. High Counselor, its configuration matches nothing in our archives. Its speed exceeds our theoretical limits. It has not responded to any communication attempts. Could it be a natural phenomenon? Asked Counselor Alara. Negative. Its movements are too precise, its trajectory too deliberate. A weapon, then, suggested Counselor Vex, his voice hardening. Perhaps launched by the Krull Confederation? Varzox shook his head. The Crawl lacked the technological capability to create something like this. Besides, its origin point lies beyond the known territories of any major power. "Then what is your assessment, Admiral?" demanded Trazyn. Varzox hesitated, knowing the gravity of his next words. "I believe we are witnessing first contact with a previously unknown species, one that possesses technology significantly advanced beyond our own." A murmur rippled through the council members. First contact protocols were rarely invoked. The last documented case had been over 2 centuries ago. "Your recommendation?" asked Trazyn. "Containment and assessment. I propose we surround the vessel, prevent it from reaching any populated world, and attempt to communicate. If communication fails or hostility is detected, we should be prepared to neutralize the threat." The council members exchanged glances before Trazyn nodded. "Proceed as recommended, Admiral. The safety of the Empire takes precedence over all other considerations. If this truly is first contact, we must ensure it occurs on our terms." As the transmission ended, Varzox turned back to the tactical display. The green dot continued its steady progress, unaware of the massive military force preparing to encircle it. "Sir," reported his tactical officer, "all fleets confirm ready status. Intercept in 19 minutes. Order all vessels to power weapon systems but maintain defensive posture," Varzox commanded. "Let's see what our visitor does when it realizes it's surrounded." On the bridge of the Terra's Pride, the mood was one of excited anticipation. They were minutes away from entering the Lithian system, the first humans to visit an alien star. "Captain," Park called suddenly, her voice tight with alarm. "I'm detecting multiple objects on an intercept course." Morrison frowned. "How many?" "Hundreds, sir. They appear to be vessels, moving in formation. They're surrounding us." Rodriguez's console lit up with alerts. "Captain, we're being scanned by multiple sources. Very powerful, very thorough scans." "Are they targeting us?" Morrison asked, tension evident in his voice. "Not yet, but they've established a complete perimeter. There's no way through without engaging them." Dr. Williams moved to Morrison's side. "Captain, this is clearly a coordinated response. They must have detected us and considered us a threat." Morrison nodded, making his decision. "All stop. Power down the quantum fold drive but maintain defensive systems. Rodriguez, broadcast our first contact package on all frequencies." "Broadcasting now, sir." The bridge fell silent as they waited, watching the tactical display as hundreds of alien vessels formed a sphere around them. The Terra's Pride hung motionless in space, surrounded by more firepower than Earth's entire defense fleet. "They're responding," Rodriguez reported, after a tense minute. "Text and audio transmission, being processed through our translation matrix now." The main view screen activated, showing an alien figure with elongated features, stern eyes, and a military bearing that transcended species boundaries. "Unknown vessel." The translation came through clearly. "You have entered restricted Imperial space without authorization. Your vessel is not registered in any known database. Your propulsion system violates known physical laws. Identify yourself and state your purpose immediately." Morrison stepped forward, straightening his uniform. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Earth vessel Terra's Pride. We are on a peaceful mission of exploration and first contact. We mean no harm and seek only to establish diplomatic relations." The alien's expression remained unreadable. "Your claim of peaceful intentions will be verified. Prepare to be boarded. Any resistance will be met with immediate destruction." The transmission cut off abruptly. "Captain," Park's voice wavered slightly. Morrison looked around at his crew, seeing the fear in their eyes. "We cooperate. That's our protocol for this situation. Rodriguez, send a message to Earth with our current status and coordinates. Williams, prepare all first contact materials and your scientific data on the quantum fold drive. They'll want to know how we got here. Everyone else, secure your stations and prepare to receive visitors." As the crew moved to comply, Morrison stared at the view screen, now showing the massive alien vessels closing in around them. Humanity's first venture beyond their solar system had just become significantly more complicated. The boarding of the Terra's Pride proceeded with military precision. Admiral Varzox personally led the operation, accompanied by a contingent of the Empire's most elite security forces and a team of xenobiologists and technicians. The human vessel's airlock cycled open, revealing Captain Morrison and a small, welcoming party. Varzox noted their composure with a grudging respect. They showed appropriate caution, but no obvious fear. "I am Admiral Zol Varzox of the Zapirian Empire," he announced as his translation device processed their language. "Your vessel has violated multiple Imperial regulations. You will submit to questioning and inspection." The human captain nodded. "We understand. Admiral, we're prepared to cooperate fully. This is Dr. Kate Williams, our chief scientist, who can explain our propulsion system, and Officers Park and Rodriguez, who can provide our navigation and communication logs." Varzox signaled to his security team, who moved forward with scanning devices. "These will verify you carry no weapons or biological contaminants," he explained, watching their reactions carefully. The humans remained calm, allowing the scans without protest. The preliminary results showed nothing alarming. These beings were carbon-based, with biological systems not dissimilar to several known species. Their technology, however, was another matter entirely. "Take me to your engine room," Varzox ordered. As they moved through the vessel, Varzox noted its efficient design and relatively small size. It was clearly built for exploration rather than combat, which aligned with their claims of peaceful intentions. But the real surprise came when they entered the engine compartment. The quantum fold drive pulsed with a soft blue light, its configuration unlike anything in Imperial records. Dr. Williams stepped forward, gesturing toward the central chamber. "This is our quantum fold drive," she explained. "It creates a localized fold in space-time, essentially moving the ship through a pocket dimension where traditional physical limitations don't apply." Varzox's technical officer scanned the device, his expression growing increasingly alarmed. "Admiral, this technology, it's beyond our current theoretical framework. The energy signatures don't conform to any known physical model." "Explain," Varzox demanded, turning to the human scientist. Williams nodded. "The principles were discovered by Dr. Elena Cortez about 30 years ago. Instead of trying to overcome the light-speed barrier within normal space, she proposed creating a temporary dimensional envelope where the laws of physics could be locally rewritten. It took us decades to develop the practical applications." "And your species possesses this technology widely?" Varzox asked, a note of concern entering his voice. "This is our first vessel equipped with the drive," Morrison interjected. "We're still in the experimental phase. That's why we sent an exploration mission, rather than a full diplomatic delegation. We wanted to verify the technology worked consistently before making formal contact." Varzox processed this information, his tactical mind racing. If these humans were telling the truth, they possessed a technological advantage that could upend the balance of power throughout the galaxy. Yet they claimed to seek peaceful contact rather than conquest. "You will all be transported to the Dominance for further questioning," he decided. "Your vessel will be secured and examined." "Admiral," Morrison said carefully, "we understand your caution, but I must inform you that Earth is expecting regular communications from us. If they don't hear from us within the prescribed time frame, they will assume something has gone wrong." "And what would they do then?" Varzox asked, curious despite himself. Morrison met his gaze steadily. "They would send ships to investigate." "More ships with this quantum fold drive?" "Yes, Admiral." Varzox nodded slowly. "Then we had better establish clear communication, hadn't we?" The emergency session of the Galactic Council on Zephyr Prime had been convened with unprecedented haste. Representatives from 12 major powers and 27 affiliated species gathered in the Grand Chamber, their discussions a cacophony of concern and speculation. High Counselor Trazyn called for order, his amplified voice echoing through the chamber. "We will proceed with facts, not rumors," he declared. "Admiral Varzox, present your findings." Varzox stepped to the central podium, the holographic display activating behind him. 26 hours ago, our monitoring stations detected an unregistered vessel entering Sector 7 Alpha. The vessel employed an unknown propulsion system that allowed it to travel at speeds previously considered impossible. The display showed footage of the Terra's Pride, along with technical readouts from the Imperial scans. "We intercepted the vessel before it could reach any populated world," Varzox continued. "Upon boarding, we discovered it was crewed by beings from a previously unknown world called Earth. They claimed to be on a peaceful mission of exploration and first contact." "And their technology?" asked Counselor Alara. "Their quantum-fold drive operates on principles our scientists are still struggling to comprehend. It allows them to create a localized dimensional pocket where they can effectively rewrite the laws of physics. The practical result is faster-than-light travel without the limitations we have always considered absolute." A murmur rippled through the chamber. "Where is this Earth?" demanded Counselor Vex. "How have they remained undetected?" "According to their star charts, their home system lies beyond the outer rim, in a region we have not yet thoroughly explored. They claim to have been observing our communications for decades, learning our languages and studying our civilizations before attempting contact." "A likely story," scoffed Vex. "More probably, they have been hiding, developing this technology for military advantage." "That possibility cannot be dismissed," Varzox acknowledged. "However, their vessel is clearly designed for exploration, not combat. They have cooperated fully with our investigation and freely shared information about their technology." "Which brings us to the critical question," Trazyn interjected. "What is to be done with these humans and their vessel?" Counselor Alara leaned forward. "If their intentions are truly peaceful, this could be an opportunity for technological exchange. The applications of their drive system would revolutionize travel throughout the galaxy." "Or provide them with military superiority," countered Vex. "We should confiscate their vessel and technology, then isolate their world until we can determine whether they pose a threat." "That would be a declaration of war," argued Alara. "If they possess this technology, who knows what other advancements they have? We should pursue diplomatic relations." "I propose a middle course," said Counselor Myth, speaking for the first time. "We continue to detain the human vessel while sending an assessment team to their world. Once we understand more about their civilization and capabilities, we can make an informed decision." Trazyn nodded thoughtfully. "A prudent approach. Admiral Varzox, what is your assessment of the human crew?" Varzox considered his response carefully. "They appear genuine in their stated mission of peaceful contact. Their captain has maintained a cooperative attitude despite our rather aggressive response to their arrival. Their chief scientist has been forthcoming with technical information." "Yet you have concerns," Trazyn observed. "I do," Varzox admitted. "The humans claim this vessel is experimental, yet its systems function flawlessly. They claim to seek peaceful contact, yet they entered our space unannounced, using technology that could easily be weaponized. And most troublingly, their captain has informed us that Earth will send additional vessels if they lose contact." "A threat?" asked Vex sharply. "A statement of fact," Varzox replied. "One that we should take seriously. If more human vessels arrive while we are detaining their people, the situation could escalate rapidly." The council chamber erupted in debate, voices rising as various factions argued their positions. Trazyn eventually restored order with a sharp gesture. "We will vote on Counselor Myth's proposal," he announced. "Continue detention of the human vessel while dispatching an assessment team to Earth." The vote was decisive, 35 in favor, 4 opposed. "So ordered," declared Trazyn. "Admiral Varzox, you will maintain custody of the human vessel and crew. Counselor Alara will lead the assessment mission to Earth. We will—" He was interrupted by a junior officer who rushed into the chamber, approaching Varzox with urgent whispers. The Admiral's expression darkened as he listened. "High Counselor," Varzox announced, his voice tight with tension. "I have just received word from the Dominants. Our long-range sensors have detected multiple anomalies approaching Sector 7 Alpha. The energy signatures match those of the human vessel. We are tracking 12 separate objects, all moving at speeds that suggest they are equipped with quantum fold drives." The chamber fell silent. "It appears," Varzox continued grimly, "that Earth has already dispatched its rescue fleet." In the observation lounge of the Dominants, Captain Morrison and his senior officers watched the tactical display with mixed emotions. The 12 dots representing Earth's rescue fleet moved with precision through Imperial space, their trajectories bringing them directly toward the Terra's Pride's position. "They got our message," Rodriguez said quietly. Morrison nodded. "And they sent everything we have, all 12 prototype vessels, right off the assembly line." Dr. Williams studied the reaction of their Imperial guards, noting the tension in their postures. "I don't think Admiral Varzox expected such a rapid response." "Or such a substantial one," added Park. "Look at their formation. That's not an exploratory pattern. That's a tactical approach." Morrison frowned. This was exactly the scenario they had hoped to avoid. Earth's intention had been peaceful first contact, not a military confrontation. But when the Terra's Pride's distress signal reached home, the response had been decisive. The door slid open, and Admiral Varzox entered, his expression carefully controlled. "Your people have sent ships," he stated flatly. Morrison nodded. "As I warned you they would. When we didn't report back on schedule, they would have assumed we were in danger. 12 vessels, all employing your quantum fold drive, moving in a military formation." "A rescue formation," Morrison corrected. "They're coming to ensure our safety, not to start a war." Varzox's eyes narrowed. "Their approach suggests otherwise. They have ignored all hails and are proceeding directly toward our fleet concentration." "Because they don't know if we're being coerced," Morrison explained. "Admiral, this situation can still be resolved peacefully. Allow me to communicate with them." "The Council has not authorized such communication." "Then, you risk turning a misunderstanding into a conflict," Morrison said firmly. "Those ships will not fire first. That's against our protocols. But they will not leave without confirming our status. And they will not surrender." Varzox studied him for a long moment. "You seem very confident of your 12 vessels against our combined fleets." "It's not about numbers. Admiral, you've studied our quantum fold drive? You know what it can do for propulsion. Have you considered what else it might do?" The implication hung in the air between them. The same technology that allowed the human ships to travel at impossible speeds could, theoretically, be applied to weapon systems with devastating effects. "You're bluffing," Varzox said finally. Morrison shook his head. "I'm trying to prevent unnecessary conflict. We came in peace, and we still want peace. But we will defend ourselves if forced to." A communication officer entered hurriedly. "Admiral, the unknown vessels have altered their approach. They're executing in-system jumps. Our tracking systems can't maintain lock." Varzox's eyes widened slightly, the only indication of his shock. In-system jumps using faster-than-light technology were considered impossible due to the precision required and the gravitational interference of stellar bodies. "Show me," he ordered, moving to the tactical display. The dots representing the human vessels were blinking in and out of existence, appearing at new coordinates with each jump. They were moving in a complex pattern that effectively surrounded the Imperial fleet while maintaining perfect formation. "Impressive," Varzox murmured, almost to himself. Then, louder. Captain Morrison, your demonstration is noted. Now I suggest you contact your fleet before one of my more trigger-happy commanders decides to open fire. Morrison stepped forward. I'll need access to our communication systems. Varzox nodded to one of his officers, who activated a console. Make it clear that any aggressive action will be met with overwhelming force, the Admiral added. Morrison smiled thinly. I think they've already made it clear that overwhelming is a relative term. Admiral. As Morrison established contact with the Earth fleet, Varzox watched the tactical display with newfound respect and concern. The humans had just demonstrated technological superiority in the most effective way possible, without firing a single shot. The Grand Council chamber on Zephyr Prime had never seen such a historic gathering. Representatives from every major power in the known galaxy sat in stunned silence as they watched the feed from Sector 7 Alpha, where the Imperial fleet now shared space with 13 human vessels arranged in a protective formation around the Terra's Pride. High Counselor Trazyn addressed the assembly, his tone more measured than before. The situation has evolved. The humans have demonstrated both their technological capabilities and their restraint. They have not fired upon our vessels despite having tactical advantage. Tactical advantage is debatable, muttered Counselor Vex, though with less conviction than before. The human captain has requested to address this council, Trazyn continued. In the interest of diplomacy, I have granted this request. The central holographic projector activated, displaying Captain Morrison standing on the bridge of the Terra's Pride. He wore his formal uniform, and his demeanor was respectful but confident. Honorable representatives of the Galactic Council, Morrison began. I speak to you on behalf of Earth and humanity. Our intention was always peaceful first contact. Though circumstances have forced us to demonstrate capabilities we would have preferred to introduce more gradually. Your demonstration could be interpreted as a threat, Counselor Vex pointed out. Morrison nodded acknowledgement. Just as your surrounding and boarding our vessel could be interpreted as hostility. Yet here we are, speaking rather than fighting. That is our preference. Dialogue over conflict. Why has Earth hidden itself until now? Asked Counselor Alara. We haven't been hiding, Morrison replied. We've been observing and learning. Until recently, we lacked the technology to travel beyond our solar system. Once we developed the quantum fold drive, we chose to send a single vessel, mine, to establish initial contact. A contact that involved military vessels arriving unannounced, Vex noted dryly. The Terra's Pride is a scientific and diplomatic vessel, Morrison corrected. The additional ships arrived only after we failed to report back on schedule, suggesting we might be in danger. They came prepared for rescue, not war, as evidenced by the fact that no weapons have been fired despite ample opportunity. Trazyn leaned forward. What does Earth want from this contact, Captain Morrison? The same things most civilizations want. Peaceful coexistence, trade, cultural exchange, and mutual growth. We have technologies that could benefit the galaxy, just as you have knowledge and resources that could benefit Earth. We seek to join the galactic community as contributors, not conquerors. The council members exchanged glances. The humans' words were reasonable, even conciliatory, yet the demonstration of their technological capabilities could not be ignored. The council will deliberate, Trazyn announced. In the meantime, as a gesture of goodwill, the Terra's Pride and its crew will be released from detention. The human fleet will maintain its current position, as will our vessels. Morrison bowed slightly. Agreed. High Counselor, we await your decision. As the transmission ended, the chamber erupted in discussion. Opinions varied widely, from those who saw opportunity in alliance with these technologically advanced newcomers, to those who perceived an existential threat to the established order. Admiral Varzox, invited to address the council, stepped forward. Honorable representatives, having observed the humans firsthand, I believe their stated intentions of peaceful contact are genuine. Their technology is indeed advanced beyond our current capabilities, but they have shown remarkable restraint in its application. You recommend we pursue diplomatic relations? Asked Trazyn. Varzox nodded. I do. The alternative, attempting to contain or combat this technology, would likely lead to a conflict we cannot be certain of winning. Better to embrace these humans as allies than force them to become enemies. Counselor Alara rose. I concur with Admiral Varzox. I propose we grant Earth observer status in the Council while establishing formal diplomatic relations and technology exchange protocols. A premature step, objected Vex. We know almost nothing about these humans, their society, their values, their true capabilities. Then let us learn, Alara countered. Send a diplomatic mission to Earth. Invite their representatives here. Begin the exchange of knowledge that could benefit all our peoples. After hours of debate, the Council reached its decision. Earth would be granted provisional observer status in the Galactic Council. A diplomatic mission would be dispatched to Earth, while human representatives would be welcomed on Zephyr Prime. Technical and cultural exchange programs would be established, with appropriate safeguards to protect the interests of all parties. The age of isolation was over. A new chapter in galactic history had begun. 3 months later, Captain Morrison stood on the observation deck of the Terra's Pride, watching as the joint human-Zephyrian expedition prepared to depart for unexplored regions beyond the Outer Rim. The mission represented the first fruits of the alliance between Earth and the Empire, a sharing of human propulsion technology and imperial stellar cartography. Quite a view, isn't it? Said a familiar voice behind him. Morrison turned to see Admiral Varzox approaching, his uniform now bearing the additional insignia of Imperial Diplomatic Liaison. It is, Morrison agreed. I never imagined our first contact would lead to this so quickly. Varzox gazed out at the assembled fleet, a mix of human vessels with their distinctive quantum-fold engines and Imperial ships retrofitted with the new technology. Fear is a powerful motivator, the Admiral observed. When your rescue fleet appeared, performing maneuvers our best tacticians considered impossible. Many of my colleagues wanted to open fire immediately. What stopped them? Curiosity, perhaps, or the recognition that if you had wanted to attack, you would have done so without warning. Varzox turned to face Morrison directly. Your restraint was enlightening. It showed a maturity some believed your species would lack as newcomers to the galactic stage. Morrison smiled. We've had our share of conflicts on Earth. We've learned that power without restraint leads only to destruction. A lesson some of us needed to relearn, Varzox acknowledged. The Empire had grown too comfortable in its assumptions of superiority. The observation deck door opened, admitting Dr. Williams and a group of Zephyrian scientists, deep in animated discussion about quantum mechanics. Your Dr. Williams has become quite popular among our research community, Varzox noted. Her explanations of your fold technology have sparked a renaissance in theoretical physics. She's in her element, Morrison agreed. This is what we hoped for, collaborative advancement rather than competitive destruction. There are still those who distrust this alliance, Varzox warned. Counselor Vex and his faction continue to argue for greater restrictions on human expansion. And there are those on Earth who fear we're moving too quickly, sharing too much, Morrison countered. Change is always met with resistance. Yet, here we are. Varzox gestured toward the view screen, where the final preparations for the joint mission were underway. Here we are, Morrison echoed, making history together. A communication officer approached, offering a datapad to Morrison. Captain, the final manifest for the expedition. All personnel and equipment accounted for. We await only your final authorization. Morrison reviewed the information, noting with satisfaction the balanced composition of the crew. Humans and Zephyrians working side by side, complemented by representatives from 7 other species. This was the future they had envisioned. Collaborative, diverse, united in exploration, rather than divided by fear. "Authorize launch sequence," he ordered, "and send my personal regards to the expedition commander." As the officer departed, Varzox raised an eyebrow. "You're not commanding this mission yourself? I would have thought you'd insist on leading the way." Morrison shook his head. "My place is here for now, helping to establish the foundations of our alliance. Besides, Commander Park has earned this opportunity. She'll represent humanity well." "As you have," Varzox acknowledged with a formal bow. "When I ordered your vessel intercepted, I never imagined I would one day call its captain a friend." "The universe is full of surprises, Admiral," Morrison replied with a smile. "That's what makes exploration worthwhile." Together, they watched as the joint expedition vessels activated their engines, the human ships creating the distinctive ripple effect of quantum fold technology, while the retrofitted Imperial vessels glowed with a combination of traditional and new propulsion systems. In perfect formation, they accelerated away from Zephyr Prime, bound for the uncharted territories beyond known space. On the central planet below, in a ceremony timed to coincide with the expedition's departure, representatives from Earth and the Zephyrian Empire, joined by delegates from dozens of other worlds, planted the first flag of the galactic community, a symbol of the new era of cooperation. The unknown ship that had caused such panic in the Empire's monitoring stations had indeed heralded change, but not the invasion or destruction that had been feared. Instead, it had become the catalyst for a transformation more profound than anyone could have predicted. The recognition that the greatest achievements come not through isolation and fear, but through connection and cooperation. As the expedition disappeared into the vastness of space, the Terra's Pride received its new orders: return to Earth as the flagship of a diplomatic convoy, bringing representatives from across the galaxy to formally establish embassies on humanity's homeworld. "Ready to go home, Captain?" asked Dr. Williams, joining Morrison and Varzox at the viewport. Morrison nodded, his eyes still fixed on the point where the expedition had vanished from view. "Home first, then wherever the stars take us next. The journey's just beginning." In Sector 7 Alpha, technician Yelma Kara, recently promoted for her vigilance, watched her monitoring screen with new perspective. The green dots moving across her display now included vessels of designs she'd never seen before, traveling at speeds once considered impossible. Each represented not a potential threat, but a symbol of the galaxy's expanding horizons. The night shift was still quiet, but the universe beyond had become infinitely more interesting.